I did think about putting this poster up that I found.
What is it? Oh no. Welcome back to the channel. Last time, my guest Tim and I talked about movies, specifically the movies that came out last year. We talked about our favorite ones. You can check out the video that came out on Saturday to see what we thought about those. Today, we're going to just kind of talk about some different categories, like littler things, moments, characters that we wanted to talk about when it came to the movies of last year. And so, first, I just want to say, Tim, what was the worst movie or movies that you saw last year?
I'm going to say the worst movie that I saw for me was Halloween Kills. It's not the movie that I rated the lowest, but it's the movie that I enjoyed the least. And that comes off probably partly because I really liked was it 2018?
18, yeah.
Halloween movie. And then I felt like this movie was just like, forget all that. That movie doesn't matter. We're making a worse movie.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight. And they chant that for like 10 minutes. Oh, it's so heavy-handed.
I think it's nuanced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was disappointed by that movie, but it is, let's see, on my list of 41 movies, it is number 23. So there were a bunch of movies that I thought were worse. But that is the movie that draws the line for me that says, like, the movies above this one are good and the movies below this one are not good. But to me, like, cause there's a couple movies on my list that are pretty low because mostly I don't remember that they happened. Like the movie Yes Day or Tom and Jerry. I know I watched these movies, but outside of there's a mouse and a cat in Tom and Jerry, I don't really remember much about what happens in it. So there are two. Yeah, there are two movies that I want to mention as my worst movies. Probably the one that is just like flat out the worst movie that I saw this year is Home Sweet Home Alone, which is the newest Home Alone movie. It's got the sidekick kid from Jojo Rabbit is in it. He is the main kid in it, and it's just not good. It does not capture anything that the original Home Alone has going for it, where like you know who you want to root for. Like you really story-wise are rooting for who would be classified as like the robbers in this movie. It's not like in the original Home Alone where they're like, these guys are robbing houses and are totally going to be okay with murdering this kid. It's like, these people are having an open house and they think this little kid stole something very valuable. And so they're just trying to sneak in and grab it real quick. But then they're being assaulted by this little kid. Because if they don't get that thing, then they're going to lose their house. And you're rooting for these people who are just being assaulted by this annoying little kid the whole movie. Anyway, and it's bad. But then I also do dishonorable mention, just want to mention Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, because the worst thing about watching that was that I had to go watch it by myself. So there was nobody next to me to be like, whoa, this is a piece of garbage, right?
Yeah, because I watched that trailer and was like, I have no interest in seeing this movie. This trailer looks awful. It looks like it's trying to be a spoof trailer. Yeah, but it's not. And if they would have leaned into that, maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, and like the worst, because I'm a big fan of those games, I really do enjoy the Resident Evil games, and it doesn't work on that level, and then it does not work on like the movie. It's a movie level. So that gets a special one for me. So those are the two movies I would mention there. Movies that you missed. So we are filming this. It's still 2021, but we've pretty much, I'm pretty sure, seen the movies that we're going to see this year. And with that being said, is there anything that came out this year that you wish you would have had time to see to maybe it would have gone on your list?
I mean, there's a couple. Like the animated movies mostly stick out. I've heard a lot of really good things about both Luca and Encanto. Yeah. Those are two that, like, I think Encanto probably would hit me really well too.
Yes, it would.
I love Coco. It's like maybe my favorite animated movie they've ever made. I know, bold statement. And there's something about like that Latino vibe that hits me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My family heritage.
Yeah, probably.
And stuff. So those are two that I definitely wish I would have seen. And then probably the only other one that, if I'm being honest, like Jungle Cruise, I did want to see that before the year. I never got around to seeing it. I like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I've heard it's like okay.
You got Disney Plus?
So, but I just haven't got around to any of those. All of those movies are freely available for me to watch, and I have chosen not to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those Space Jam, A New Legacy, probably.
Sure.
That was one of the movies I was looking forward to going into the year because I thought it was going to be like bad but fun to watch, and then never watched it. But you've seen it twice, so that makes up for it.
Yeah, we were gonna go watch it. I remember. We can go, but then there were no Thursday preview showings for it.
Yes.
Not a single one, and it was maybe one of the most disappointing things movie-wise that happened to me all year. We're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go see it. And I think Isaac had the day off too, so he was gonna go. Dad and my brother Will were gonna go too, and it was just like, oh, never mind, guys, we can't go do it. And they're like, why not? It's like, because they just don't want people to go see this movie.
Yep.
And I don't blame them. For me, the two, because I did see quite a bit of movies, I wanted to see West Side Story. I do think I would like it a lot. That trailer is very good. And then I am even more curious to watch Matrix Resurrection or Resurrections. I can't remember which one it is. Because of how people are responding to it. There are just a lot of people that do not like that movie, and it makes me want to watch it more. So maybe I will try to get around to that one in the next week or so. But those are the two ones for me. So we went to a lot of movies this year, Tim, together, like almost all of the big ones. And in going to big movies, it's always fun when you're in a crowd of people to hear like the reaction when big things happen. And so I want to talk about the biggest moments really that happened in the movie theater. I have a couple that I want to mention that I know you have one that you really want to dig into. And so the ones I want to mention are at the end of spoilers here. We'll just go spoil. So Venom, Let There Be Carnage, spoilers. When they revealed that he's in the MCU at the end, we were like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm glad I came and saw Venom, I guess. And then I guess even and then spoilers for Spider-Man, his not being in it at all and like only showing up to then leave and only leave like a little bit of the symbiote behind is very funny to me. It was so both of those moments, the both post-credit scenes equally.
Yep.
And then another spoiler for Spider-Man. When all three of the Spider-Men are flying around and stuff, I was just like, I was giddy. Like when they all land on the Statue of Liberty.
The moment when they like use their like webs to like swing together.
Yes.
And like they form like a triangle. I'm like, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Dude, there's a part where like they shoot their webs onto one of the other Spider-Men who like pulls them and they're like, I'm like, shoot, is so awesome. So that, but the biggest moment maybe of the year, I think. I'll let you take it away, Tim.
Oh, the biggest moment of the year is when the Fast and Furious franchise goes to space. The number one thing that any great franchise needs is to go to space. It was the one territory that they hadn't conquered. I mean, underwater, maybe they haven't conquered. I don't know.
They did fight a submarine. But
okay. So they needed to go to space, and they went to space, and they didn't take a rocket ship. They took a car. When they take a car to space, it's I can't remember either of their characters' names.
Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson.
Yes. They
Roman
go to space.
And why can't I never remember Ludacris's name from those movies? I'll look it up. You go ahead.
It's like really, he's got like a really boring name, doesn't he?
Short and boring, yeah.
Like Taj or something like that, or Ty, or
that sounds really close.
But
Tej.
Tish. Okay, I was close.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go to space. It's incredible. They save the day. it's it's maybe the moment in the theater this year. I'm like, that wasn't one of my favorite movies of the year. I thought overall it was not a very good movie. But that's not what I want from Fast and the Furious anyway.
No.
I'm expecting some craziness. But it's one of those moments where I'm just like, when it was happening, I just sat in my chair being like, I can't believe that they did this. I can't believe that I'm like, in this universe, this makes sense.
Yep.
It's okay. In that universe, it's just okay that they drove a car to space. It's fine.
Yeah, they pay it off. I think they set it up enough where you're like, okay, you're laying the bricks. We can walk this path. And like, even like Roman in that movie being like, I think we're invincible. I don't think we can die. And it's just so good.
I wish that I could remove all of the Fast and Furious knowledge out of my head, like remove the movies completely, and then just watch the first one and then watch that one and see how my brain reacts to that, because like how far they have come in 9 movies is insane.
Yeah, the thing they're having to worry about in the first one is Vin Diesel stealing DVD players out of the back of like a semi truck.
Yep.
And then like they're using super magnets to like yank armored trucks through buildings in this one, and that's like the littlest thing they're doing.
Well, it's like they go from like, we're a gang of like thieves, and it's like now we're like super spies who work for governments to stop global terrorists and go to space to stop apocalypse events. It's just like, all right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, I'm all aboard.
That moment is great. I love it. Even if you haven't seen it and I spoil it for you, you're still gonna love it. It's insane.
I have villain categories on here, but I'm trying to think. I guess best hero, dude. I would pick Nicolas Cage from Pig. Might be if we're not going like Spider-Man and stuff, you know. Okay, but what about villains, Tim? We kind of realized that we have differing opinions on Safin or from No Time to Die.
You just said that he's the worst villain.
I think he's the worst. Worst villain.
I don't think he's the best villain by any stretch of the year. Okay. But I do think that I didn't think he was like, when you brought him up to me before about him being the worst villain, I was just like, no, he's not the worst. I think that maybe my favorite villain of the year is the Baron from Dune.
Baron's good.
I like that he's just kind of like gross and nasty.
Yes.
Like there's no redeeming qualities about him. He's just gross and nasty and just like wants to kill them, and I'm like, that's great. I like it.
Yep.
It's gritty and dark and interesting. And I felt like they cast him really well. I have no idea who the guy was, but he fit the role. So.
Oh, dude, it's Stellan Skarsgård. It's like the scientist.
Is it?
Guy from Thor and stuff.
Oh, he's the guy who like gets brainwashed by Loki in the first Avengers movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was like, you know who he is. I would go into spoilers for Spider-Man again to be able to throw Green Goblin on the list, villain-wise. I think Willem Dafoe as a Green Goblin is great, and then getting a whole movie where they're like, surprise, he's just the main bad guy again. You're like, okay, cool.
Norman's on sabbatical, honey.
That's best.
So good. Yeah. I mean, you're probably right.
Those are both good
you're
answers.
You're probably
though.
right.
No, I mean, they're both characters that have existed before in movies. So, yeah, it's all good. We don't have to. It's not like we have to decide. It's just a fun thing talking about. Worst villains. I did say Safin, but then you brought up an interesting counter argument, and I think I agree with you on who the real worst enemy or villain in a movie was this year, and it's the people of Haddonfield, Illinois. They are the real monsters.
The worst in the movie Halloween Kills, the worst villain is everybody in the movie. Because there's this horribly overhanded sentiment in the movie that it's like Michael Myers turns us all into monsters. We're the real monsters, and it's just really bad. And they like chase down and kill an innocent guy because they think he might be Michael Myers, and then right after they kill him, they're like, "Oh, it's not Michael Myers."
Even though people were screaming at them, it's not Michael Myers.
It's awful.
Yeah,
so bad. So they're the worst villain of the year.
That was the real turning point for me in the movie. I was like, I don't like this. This isn't fun.
I know. I can't believe that you and Isaac walked out of that movie being like, it was great. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was a bad movie. There
was enough in it for me to be like, I was not disappointed. But later in thinking about it, I'm like, but it was not good. Was not good. And yeah. I don't know. That's about all I got. You any other weird things from last year or this year you want to point out?
You didn't bring up the best side characters.
Oh, that's right. The whole reason I even wanted to do this. I skipped past it because this is it, Tim. This is it. The main event. This year had a ton of just characters that you didn't even know were really going to be in the movie, or maybe you knew a little bit. And then they were just like maybe the best part of the whole movie that you're watching. And I've got a couple different ones I want to bring up. You had one too that I didn't write down.
I do have one, yes.
Okay. Let me start with one that I know we both agree on is super good. In No Time to Die, Ana de Armas as Paloma, who is like a spy who helps James Bond in one scene, and she is just great. Her character is so much fun, and like she's got good banter, and she's doing all of the spy stuff, and I don't know, just very funny. Loved it. I do also want to bring up from Eternals, a character who, this is probably like the most surprising side character, because like I didn't even know this person was a character. Because, like, why would you know? But, oh, crap, why can't I remember his name? The guy who is the Eternal.
Kumail Nanjiani?
Yeah, there it is. He's got this guy who goes around with him, who is, like, his butler, kind of. I don't know, like, his name is Karun, or Karun. My Karun. Pronunciation is off. I'm sorry, but he's like videotaping behind the scenes for like what's going on in the Eternals, and he's just very funny, but then also a lot of like emotional heart and depth from him, like in a scene. Mm-hmm. And I just really, really enjoyed that. Like whenever he was on screen, I knew I was going to have fun. Like I was laughing and stuff. So that was a nice surprise for me. Do you want to share yours before we share?
So I have two I'm going to throw in here.
Go.
One is Buddy from Free Guy.
That's right.
Will Howery's character, Buddy. I mean, he's just heartfelt and genuine, and like, I don't know, I feel like he gives you a good sense of like, you know, Guy is becoming the hero, and then it's his friend who's like nervous and scared about like stepping out into the world, and that's like what Will Howery portrays, and it's really good. I think the movie isn't an excellent movie. It's fun. But I feel like he does a really, really good job. And then the other one, I don't remember the character's name, but in the movie Venom, the Venom's Eddie Brock's ex-girlfriend's fiance is like Dan or something like that. I think might be his name. And he is excellent. He's not in a ton of the movie, but he might be the best part of the whole movie, honestly. So those are two
Dan.
from
His
two
name
movies
is
that are
Dr.
at the
Dan
bottom
Lewis.
of my list. Yeah.
He's very funny.
Those are two. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I forgot about him. I know we had talked about, like, you brought him up once when we were talking about this, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And he gets in on that last fight too. He's like pouring flaming gasoline on Carnage and stuff.
Yeah,
Sick,
it's
man.
awesome.
Spoilers, I'm glad they didn't kill him. Don't kill Dan. Let Dan live.
Don't kill Dan.
And then there's the last one, which we both, I think, are in agreement, is the actual best side character, which is really, it's been weird because for a lot of people, like the fact that this character exists and has his name is like what makes some people write off this entire movie. I've read reviews where they're like, plus there's a kid named Podcast in it. And I'm like, yeah, and Podcast in Ghostbusters Afterlife is the best part of the movie. And I don't know.
I think that, like, the character, what makes him work is that, like, if you know kids who are roughly that age, like, especially, like, nerdy kids, like, he reminds me so much of my nephew Blake. Like, yeah, didn't tell you, Blake, I was going to shout you out, but hopefully he doesn't get upset. But he reminds me so much of him. Yeah, he's so like kids who are like that, like he's just. I think it's just a really good depiction of a kid that actually like feels like a kid. The things that they're saying feel like what a kid would say, and it's not super annoying.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, and it from his introduction, I'm like, I get this character, and I think he's funny when he's like, people call me Podcast. And she's like, why do people call you Podcast? Like, well, probably because I have a podcast. It's like, I call myself Podcast. And oh, no, it's like, why do they... Oh, let me try that over. Let me start it over. I botched that one. You idiot.
It's all right. You can cut it. You can edit it.
I will. I'm going to cut all this. I'm going to cut all of it out. Now I got to get back to where I was. I mean, just from like the introduction of the character, like they nail it. She's like, why do they call you Podcast? And he's like, it's because I got a podcast. It's like, well, is that how it is? I can't remember. It's just not going to say it.
I don't know how the line goes. You're like, if you were just committed the first time and been like, that's the line, I would have believed you. If
I
you
think I might just have to leave
time,
all of this in.
I would have believed you.
I'm just going to have to leave all of it in. Anyway, Podcast is great.
Podcast.
I think the only other thing I want to mention that isn't something that actually happened in a movie, but something that happened to us in the movie theater, Tim, was when we went and saw the movie Free Guy. And I was worried for a second that I was getting old because the movie started and I was just sitting there and I'm like, my goodness, this is the loudest movie I've ever heard. What is wrong with me? And then I felt compelled to mention it to you guys after the movie. I was like, I don't know, guys, that movie was pretty loud. And you and Isaac were both like, yes, it was very loud. And they just had the volume turned up too high. They have to have.
Oh, it was, I don't know. It was just annoyingly loud.
Even during like talking scenes and stuff.
Yeah. The very first thing is like Ryan Reynolds like voiceover talking in the first scene. And it just felt like he was screaming in my ear.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that kind of like finishes up our talking about movies from 2021. Overall, I don't know. It's just not too bad. Not too bad of a year when it comes to movies.
A lot of great movies. A lot of great moments in movies. Especially after 2020 when we didn't get any new movies, to have so many fun movies was just kind of nice.
Yeah.
And it's good with where we are in the world to have just fun, good moments like that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me, Tim, to talk about 2021 movies. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time with another video. Bye.